Mr. Ricciotti. So the first part of this day has come to an end with the research that we carried out, and then let's start with the second part of the interviews. I'd like to call on stage Stefano Marzotto, who is the CEO of Santa Margherita Gruppo Vinicolo.
Well,
welcome. Welcome. I'd like to start with some congratulations. Santa Margherita, very nice one. We talked about the turnovers of premium companies. You were at the top. You are one of the top players, so your figures are just great. You are the CEO of Santa Margherita. Well, you started in that 1 year ago, and there is like a direct management from your family, right? So, yes, that's true. But I was like kind of borrowed. I joined the group in 2005. I am the CEO of the holding company of the group, and we have like 100% of Santa Margherita. My brothers, my siblings asked me to do that, and then I said, okay, I'm going to do it, but for a specific time, so temporarily, so to say. But this year was very tough, but also pleasant, great one. 2022 was an excellent year. And by the way, also 2020 and 2021 were also great years. And who would have said during the pandemic that we would perform so well? So we achieved great goals and we reached the great growth as well. No one in the wine sector could have figured it out. In 2019, we were below 190 million euros turnover. In 2022, we are at more than 260 million euros turnover. So there was a very strong growth. We grew a lot over time on the market, export, but also, well, not in the domestic, but in the foreign market. But US is our main market. We have been there for more than 45 years. We went there very, very early, and we could lay the foundations of our future work. And then, well, we always say, first comes is better served. So first come, first served. And what is the impact of the US today? 2022, well, US accounted for 51% of our turnover, so more than 100 million euros turnover. You are the wine group that has the strongest presence in the US market. Yeah, that's true. Our wine is the most sold wine in the US. As you told us before, there were a couple of years in which we went through a decrease and the market slowed down. What is the market today? What does it look like? I mean, there are like some red flags and some green flags as well. So concerning this wine producing market, well, it is not easy to answer this question actually. So we are now in September, so there are still a couple of months before the end of the year. 2023 was a very tough year from the economic point of view, financial point of view. who would say that there would be a war in Ukraine that will last even longer? So the war started more than 1 year and a half ago. So this is a very long war. No one could expect that. And then also the energy price and everything, what we are seeing at the moment, currently, and also, well, in this global vision of wine. So we are talking about consumption, we are talking about sales, and from the agricultural point of view, this year was a very tough one, and someone were more affected, someone was less affected, but we went through so many problems. We had, for example, during the spring, we had a lot of frost and freeze. It was a very complicated year, and then we will also see at the end of the harvest how we will perform. And then we also have to consider the output of these grapes. Well, I'm very, very scared. Sometimes when I read something, I read like -10 or 12%, but I don't believe it. I think, unfortunately, we will end up with -20-25% in terms of production. Yeah. But according to some statistics, we will move from 54 to 44 million euros turnover. Yeah, I don't know if we reach 44 million euros or not, but what is happening in terms of market? Well, you have like a privileged interlocutor. Yeah, the wine sector, and we saw it in the statistics as well, both in Italy and abroad. Well, wine consumption is going down. Well, we are talking about liters per person, and the high-quality wine is going up and is being sold increasingly. But we can also say that this is quite a positive trend, both for the wine market and for the health of wine consumers. Well, but this is not enough, since we see in Italy, but also abroad, that there is a request and demand of new products and new things. We discussed non-alcoholic wines, but I would make a distinction. I don't talk about NLA wines. I talk about fruit juice-based beverage without alcohol, and this is forbidden. So we have a regulation in Italy which is quite stringent. So we can't remove alcohol from a beverage. So this is produced elsewhere, not in Italy, because you can't do it in Italy. You are not allowed to do it. And personally, I do think that this is going to be a trend we will have to keep up with. We will have to follow the product from this point of view, so with less alcohol inside. An NLA product, well, it's something I wouldn't call wine. Well, this is not wine. We are not allowed to call it a wine, but this is an upcoming trend. So there are things that are being tested, etc. And we're not going to take a step back anyway. So this is a very small, a niche market, so to say, but this is deemed to grow even more. We have like a growth rate of 20% or even more every single year. So I think that these trends need to be, so we need to keep up with these trends. As a group, you do have a specific R&D area that is focused on that, right? Apart from the naming and the name that we want to give, we also have to stick to the regulations and comply with the regulations, of course. Yes, that's true. We do have R&D area that is specifically focused on that sector. But as I told you, also, if we look back, a couple of years ago, starting from 2005, 2006, we started going green. We are more environmentally friendly. Everyone talks about that today, but we started working with biomass, for example, power plants. We wanted to be like self-sufficient from the inner energy and energy-related point of view. Also, we worked on solar cells and panels. We invested a lot in green energies and renewable energies as well, but also vineyards and wine cellars. We invested more than 350 million euros starting in 2005. So what can you say about these investments? What was the impact of the investments you carried out over time? Well, I think that if a company does not invest, it can't perform so well. We should try to understand what we would be today if we hadn't invested enough in the past. I think that investments are paramount. And in Italy, like 20 years ago, we had roughly 800,000 wine companies producing wine. In 22, we are talking about 255,000 wine companies, so like 25% of what we had in the past. There were some mergers, of course, some companies that were put together. Back at that time, it was like there was less extension if we consider the production pro hectare. Today, we are talking about 2 hectares, 0.7, 0.8, with some slight differences as well between North and South Italy. But this is quite impressive, in my opinion. Yeah, do you think that there will be also further aggregations? If you have a turnover of 10 million, how can you invest? I mean, yeah, there is a lot of room for improvement, but we saw also today from the previous speakers, this is something that will happen for sure. What about the prices of wine cellars, etc.? I mean, I think that there are some operations that are not closed because there is not a match between demand and supply in terms of prices. Well, do you mean the sales prices, or yeah? Well, who sells has what you sell has a value that is far away from the market value in some cases. If you consider like the benchmark, the average benchmark on the market. Well, I do believe that people investing in wine do not carry out a short-term investment. So this is a generational investment. My grandfather, then my father, then me, then there will be a next generation, like a 4th generation. So this is not a short-term calculation, because otherwise we have no return on investment. So we need to wait a little bit, and we need to be confident as well. I have some friends from Tuscany. Ferruccio is here in this room, among others. They used to say in the past, do you know how to be lucky enough with wine? You need to start with something big. You have to think big, and that's what they used to say in the past, and I think that's true. Well, all jokes aside, this is a beautiful way, this is a beautiful world with so many beautiful things. And then you fall in love with wine. That's the point. This is kind of a love at first sight. This is a too beautiful world. Yeah. So investments that must be seen in the long run. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Of course, because if you have like a wine cellar that you buy today, and you don't know if this wine cellar is going to be like expensive or not in the future, you don't know. So this is kind of an investment, but you don't still know how you will perform with your group, with this wine cellar. You don't know your contribution, and because you can make a contribution to the wine cellar as well. You have already talked about the group, about the profitability of the group. If that's true, and if there are also further operations, where are you headed? What is your direction? I mean, I don't want to say too much. Our group is really focused on white wines, and we also deal with the red wines in the Maremma area in Tuscany. But there are so many other great areas in Italy, red wines, sorry. So they are really starred wines, premium wines. Would you like to expand in this sector as well? I don't know. We don't want to be in a hurry. We want to wait for the right time to come. And we had very positive experiences when we started getting involved in some companies. Ca' del Bosco is just one of the few examples. It started in 1994, so you're going to celebrate like a 30-year together, right? Your 30th anniversary with Ca' del Bosco. Yeah. Before we talked about wine tourism, and this is one of the key pillars of the growth rate worldwide. Are you going back and forth? Are you investing? What are the developments in your group? We are not that developed yet, but this is a new way of selling, how you can make your products more well-known, you can make your companies and businesses more well-known. When wine tourists come here, when they leave the company, when they see what we have, then they will get back home with an additional experience and something they were struck by, they were impressed by. And she will remember that specific journey. And this is kind of an important aspect. So the relationship with consumers is also very important for our margin. What about your margin? Hospitality part? Well, hospitality is also another important part, and it accounts for 5% in our business. But you said that hospitality can grow a lot in the future, right? Yeah, of course. Let's remember and bear in mind that there are some regions, Lombardy with Ca' del Bosco, well, we started many years ago. In Tuscany, this is an excellent region. They are growing a lot. It's not just about the wine street. These are the wine streets in the plural form. So we have so many. Valdobbiadene, sorry. I was there a couple of days ago, and there was kind of so many tourists from Germany and Austria. So people come in here, they want to live it out, and this is really paramount. And I think this is a great opportunity in Italy. Since we have beautiful regions, beautiful areas, we are lucky enough to have also art and all the rest. So we have kind of a mix and match of everything that facilitates our life. Well, by the way, cities are not overcrowded like Venice and other cities. Yeah, so tourism is quite widespread in Italy. Yeah, in Venice we do have a very small part of our sales because we adopted San Francesco della Vigna, which is like the core in the heart of Venice, quite close to the national road. We have quite a nice and small vineyard. We did a grape harvest some days ago. So we are talking about grape harvest that are quite small. So when you are lucky, you have like 500 kilos per hectare, but not more than that. I mean, very, very fascinating history. Well, this long story coming from back in time, from Crete, Malvasia, Glera, and all the other wines. So there is a great history behind that. Yeah. You were talking about the fourth generation before, right? So the idea of your family is developing this group. The fourth generation is already in, right? Yeah, that's true. I have two sons and my brother Gaetano, and then someone working abroad. Vittorio is working in the US, where We opened a branch like an import company. You don't do wine in America, right? No. We purchased 2 years ago in Oregon the last wine cellar. It was the last purchase. So we do wine there, right? And is there an expansion in the pipeline or not? Yes, there is an expansion in the pipeline. There is a great direct consumer related market. Oregon has also a great climate, so this is also very favorable breeding ground, and we are quite happy with that. Let's go back to the beginning. You were borrowed by the group, but for a specific period temporarily, and then you will find a new CEO. What is the ultimate goal? What is his mission in the next 3-5 years? What would you like to achieve in your group? You will bring your group where? Yes, we are looking for a new CEO. Yes, we have found a new one. And then you will tell something more as soon as he will be appointed, right? What about the goals? Goals setting is something we do together, and this doesn't come from the wine world. So we have some people. So this person, doesn't come from the wine world. So he needs some time to get familiar. He will need a mentor, I guess, in the first period. And it will be kind of a joint decision-making process. So we are used to working together. I don't know, Ettore was here before, right? He's here in the room. He has been with us also. He was with us 17 years with us. Yeah, and then he left in 2019. Great. Thank you. So we look forward to getting to know the new CEO. Thank you very much, and I wish you good luck. Thank you.